Hey everyone and welcome back. Now today I wanted to go over Solana just because it's been a while since we've been over Solana on the channel, and I don't think we've ever actually looked into some of like the fundamental metrics of how Solana is actually doing as a network. I know Solana is kind of a hot topic among some of the members of my channel. There's a lot of people who love it and there's a lot of people who hate it, and so I figured, if we go in and just look at the actual base level data, then there can't be much subjectivity in there. We can just see how the network is doing and kind of take that information for what it is. So anyway, before we get on into Solana specifically, I did want to look at the crypto bubbles just to see kind of how we have been doing in the overall market. And as we can see, obviously it's a very green day. A lot of pretty strong bounces for some things here. Phantom, Near, Tau, IMX, Uniswap, like a lot of really good bounce. Bitcoin is another one that's actually bounced pretty hard. One thing that we've been seeing kind of lately is, in these massive pullbacks, Bitcoin usually doesn't drop as much as everything else, and then in these bumps, it moves up more than at least the big ones that you could say, right? Because you've got ETH here, Sol here. I mean, these two got wrecked the past couple of days, and so Bitcoin has seen a stronger bounce. I do think, again, Bitcoin does still lead the way, and so I think this does make a little bit of sense that Bitcoin is kind of bouncing harder just because that's kind of setting the pace and the momentum of the market right now. So anyway, as we can see, a pretty green day overall in the market. One thing to note, we are back to green on the year here as well, which is good news. So anyway, moving into Solana in the chart, we can see that this has kind of been the story for, I would say, most crypto tokens just generally. Obviously they don't look exactly like this, but this is a somewhat reasonable way to look at it in the sense that I would say ever since probably the middle of May, things have been kind of range trading between a kind of certain upper and lower bound. And then if we look towards about the end of July, I would say we actually have been starting to consolidate, and so we are forming a wedge. We are getting lower highs, we are also getting lower lows as well, but they are the lower lows are much less dramatic than the lower highs are. So we are definitely starting to consolidate. Even if we look towards the beginning of September, we can see that there is basically the majority of the trading has been kind of done between the upper and lower bounds of this support and resistance that we see here. So things have definitely kind of packed in pretty tight. Usually this means that we will see a break one direction or the other. Like I've said on several of my previous videos that I've done, things are looking really, really good through a lot of different coins in the overall market. Jasmine is one we've talked about. ICP is one that we've talked about. Solana, honestly, is shaping up to be looking pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of coins that are looking really nice. However, there is kind of that uncertainty surrounding the US election, a potential recession coming, a lot of this type of stuff. And so, macro, it's hard to say, if some of these fears are overblown, and maybe we should just be looking at the chart, because the charts usually are correct more oftentimes than not, at least. So, that's one thing that I'm trying to kind of weigh here is how much is the chart lying to us and how much is the macro economy lying to us? Because ultimately somebody is, because, the way that the charts are lining up and the way that the, kind of the macro environment is lining up don't necessarily jive. It makes it kind of difficult to find what the reality or the real answer is here. But overall, as we can see here, Solana is looking pretty good. Obviously the range trading can make it relatively easy to make money trading if you know how to do that. I mean, obviously range trading makes it kind of nice because you kind of know where the bounds are. So, if it gets to the low, you long, and if it gets to the top, you short, and, it generally just kind of works that way. So anyway, if you are interested in trading and happen to be a fairly good range trader and things like that, feel free to use my link below for Margex. There is no KYC needed. There's also no VPN, so you can essentially just sign up and get started trading. They're doing up to a $10,000 deposit bonus, as well as that $500,000 Caspa airdrop still is ongoing. So if you're interested, feel free to check out the link. Otherwise, no worries. As I've said many times before, we are trading in hard mode on this market currently. So, definitely be careful and be safe, and don't do anything you're not looking to you're not comfortable with, I guess I should say. So anyway, moving on, I figured we would go over some Solana performance metrics just to see kind of how the ecosystem is doing overall. So there's a couple things that we're going to look at here. First off, we can see that the transactions per second for the last hour has been hovering around 2,800, which is pretty good overall. We can see kind of the trend of the transactions. we can see that non-vote transactions appear to be trending up, while vote transactions definitely do seem to be on a bit of a downtrend. They have recovered since kind of early June and have kind of settled on this like 200 million level. If we were to use that as a support, that's probably what it would be, because it's kind of sitting pretty steadily on this and then sometimes creeps over. As we can see, active wallets, there's 281 million. We have seen an actually explosion of active wallets ever since like the end of August. It has started to come down a little bit, but there definitely has been, a lot more interest with active wallets in the Solana ecosystem, which I would say is a good thing. The recent bump in active wallets has dwarfed what we saw in mid-March, which was kind of the last point of like the meme cycle craze. So, definitely good news here. Obviously, as we can see, total like the new token accounts definitely kind of follows that. We have seen a raise up in that, which is good. If we look at new tokens, this is pretty much standard, I guess we could say. It's actually come down a little bit. There were a ton of new tokens being created kind of in this area because of all the like meme tokens and the pre-sales and all these different things that were going on. This was kind of like the Solana casino. Solana still is kind of a casino, but this was really when Solana was a casino here, is with Pump.Fun and all these types of things. So as we can see in the past year, there's been 3.2 million tokens, which is kind of nuts. That's a lot of tokens. And then if we look at NFTs, we can see a massive spike towards the end of 2023, but otherwise not a whole lot of activity going on with NFTs. Again, I think this makes sense mostly just because NFTs haven't really seen their spot in the sun come back yet. It's definitely people are still fading NFTs pretty hard, which who knows if they'll come back. I would imagine they'll see a comeback, especially if we get later into a pretty good cycle where people are making a ton of money. I would almost guarantee that NFTs come back. But if that doesn't happen, then I do think there's a possibility that we don't see them come back, at least in the same degree that we did last time. So, but we can see here transfers continue to trend up. And then if we look at Sol transfers, so this is actually Solana itself, and these are Solana tokens. And so, both are trending up, which is good. And then, we can see network fees. Again, they were spiking here in like late March, kind of when there was most activity, and then they kind of trended down. So another thing that's good to see as well is we've got 7,600 unique active programs. It's been a constant uptrend for Solana, which has been really good. Obviously, what is building on the network is the most important gauge of a network. And so the fact that this is continuing to trend up is very, very good. So if we look at the Solana Analytics on SolScan, we can see a lot of this is pretty similar. There's only a couple of things that I want to go over. The first one is they actually are tracking a higher transactions per second, which is interesting. The other thing that I've heard a lot about on my channel as well, particularly from the people who are more skeptical of Solana, is the success rate. And what we can see here is the success rate, hovers around 90%. We can see some dips down into the high 80s, but right now we are seeing about a 93.5%, high being of about 94.5 is what it looks like, 95. So, it's definitely getting better. This is only for the past 3 months. If we look all time, we can see, obviously at the start it was not great, and then it definitely is. It appears to be a slow but definitely overall trend up, which is good. That I think this remains to be the biggest complaint and concern of Solana, is just the success rate of transactions. So it is good to see that this is trending up. Otherwise, we can see blocks created, block times going down, blocks are going up. Overall, it's a relatively good sign for the Solana network. Overall, we are seeing growth in basically every metric, which you would expect to see in something like this. So the last thing I want to go over is the liquidation map. The liquidation map is maybe not necessarily directly related to Solana, but I do think it provides a good sense of kind of where the crypto market is going next. As we can see, it's overwhelmingly flipped towards liquidating longs, which would indicate a move down. We can see this on the 1 day, the 7 day, and actually now the 30 day as well. It is finally eclipsed longs, which I think it's been favoring longs on the 30 day for almost a month at this point. So the fact that everything is now flipped to liquidating longs, this is something that I think we will see. We'll probably see that pullback that we've all been looking for, because this has definitely started to line up with that. And if you've been paying attention to the channel and if you've been tuning in, you know that these liquidation maps are pretty dang good at predicting the movement. It maybe not necessarily exactly when something's going to move, but they are pretty good at actually predicting that movement overall. Anyway, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. Like I said, I'm still trying to continue to grow the channel and reach more people within the YouTube algorithm. So if you did find it useful, please do give me a like and subscribe. It really does help me out. I think I've got a new goal. This might be a bit of a crazy goal, but I think my new goal is to try and hit 10,000 subs by the end of the year. We'll see. We'll see if I can make it happen. But overall, that's my new goal, and hopefully we'll be able to see that happen. But ultimately, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, anything like that, please do drop me a comment below as well. I do read and respond to all of my comments. So if you want to get in touch with me or communicate with me, that would be a great way to do so. So anyway, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.